top of the morning. Saludo, saludo, saludo. Saludo, top of the morning. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Revolutionary salute. Juma Mubarak. Alright. This is Malik Alim, the chairman for the Noble Young Party. And today's segment, I'm gonna finish covering this whole piece about the Black Panther, the new Black Panther, and the revolutionary intercommunal Black Panther Party. This is all coming from the People's Voice News, PVN. So the Noble Young Party will be, reading that and letting the people know what's going on. So like that. This is called indirect knowledge. Indirect knowledge meaning that you can learn from other people's experiences. So just how yesterday I did a piece when the same outlet, the People's Voice News, when they analyzed the Party of Socialism and Liberation, and they was talking about, these subtle racism, these settler mentality, because they put in the socialism with the new bourgeoisie, and there's a whole bunch of nonsense and bullshit. But I guess it's not the whole party. They're not saying it's a party. It's only party members that's fucking up. But then when you have the committee covering up and switching shit up, using deceptive intelligence, manipulation, it makes the whole party look bad. So basically, but New York is good because they ain't say nothing about New York. But outside of New York, Party of Socialism and Liberation, the people is definitely not feeling them. So I guess so far the ones in New York, they doing a good thing. So, they all right. All right, so let me get this piece here. Because, I always say that, we stand in solidarity, but then when I was reading it, they were like, oh, they urge everybody to, break free from them. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? What's good? I say, but they closed right now, so I can't really holler at them and find out what's good. But, one thing I was like, listen, we could collaborate because they got the Justice Center, you know what I'm saying? So, Noble Young Party, for those who want to be with the Noble Young Party, that is one location that we could go and, collaborate. Like, listen, we could go over there, meet over there, and do our thing over there. And, we're a Noble Young Party, and we just, collaborate, network. Feel me? All right. Happy Friday, Juma Mubarak. Juma Mubarak. Alrighty. Hope y'all got your Bustelo. No. These articles are very long. It's 712. And I want to see how much of these articles I could get in for y'all. If anything, I will cover the highlighted points. Okay? All right. But if you want to read about this, I did share this information on my Facebook page. If you want to read it. But if you don't want to read it, just listen. All right. So shattering the looking glass and exposing the settler hiding behind it. A response on behalf of the Central Committee of the Revolutionary Intercommunal Black Panther Party to Through the Looking Glass. All right? So it says, this is by Kevin Rashid Johnson, the Minister of Defense of Revolutionary Intercommunal Black Panther Party. He's the Minister of Defense. It says, no. We publish this in solidarity with the comrades of the Revolutionary Intercommunal Black Panther Party. One moment. It says, we, like many, were shocked and amazed at the level of duplicity and manipulation behavior of Tom Watts. Tom Watts is Euro-American, a.k.a. so-called white. They say, literally, there's no black, literally, there's no white, or they want to play these fucking games. But Euro-Americans. Only here in the United States, they be changing words to describe people like every 10 years or some shit. Okay. So it says, we published this in solidarity with the comrades of the revolutionary intercommunal Black Panther Party. We, like many, were shocked and amazed at the level of duplicity and manipulative behavior of Tom Watts and his now exposed record of cultural appropriation. That's what's going on. Wow. Cultural appropriation, pretending to be indigenous. That was like that Khazar lady, you know what I mean? The so-called Jew, the one that was fronting like she was Puerto Rican and shit like that. She was fronting like she was Boricua and going to all these places. Yeah. She finally came out. They finally blew up a spot like this, and she is not Boricua, like she's Jewish. You know, you could be a Boricua Jew. That's why I hate when people be doing that shit. Oh, that's Jewish or that's Muslim. Like, the religion is not a race. I hate when people do that shit. But we all know what they're talking about because, you know, the Hasidic Jews, all these other Jews are basically come from the Khazars. I mean, that's not anti-Semitic. That's actual fact when you go into your history books. You know, come from the Khazars. They came into the religions, and then, you know, they basically they converted into Judaism, but they are Khazars. I mean, Judaism is a tribe, and Jewish is a religion. You know, you can't say, oh, that person is Jew. Yeah, that person is Jew. But then what about that person was Puerto Rican? Oh, he's a Puerto Rican Jew. What about he's Chinese and a Jew? Or a Chinese Jew? Or what about, say, they're like a Muslim. Chinese Muslim, Puerto Rican Muslim, Jamaican Muslim. You know what I mean? So, when you say Muslim or you just say Jewish, you're making a blanket indictment. Like, that's a religion. That's not a race of people. It just so happens to be that certain countries happens to have the majority of this religion. That's all. People gotta stop being mentally lazy. Gotta start being able to learn how to think. All right. So it says, this is the pinnacle of white chauvinism, and we encourage comrades in FTP. I don't know what FTP stands for, but it says, this is the pinnacle of white chauvinism, and we encourage comrades in FTP branches and all other revolutionary progressive organizations and milieus to isolate him, along with his puppet Sherrod Shaka Zulu. If I'm not mistaken, isn't Shaka Zulu from here in Harlem? Isn't that the one that runs the new Black Panther Party here in Harlem? Shaka Zulu. See what I'm saying? Like, yo, so far this people's voice, they put in the Party of Socialism and Liberation on blast with a lot of their racism and chauvinistic behaviors and whatnot, and patriarchy and male chauvinism and misogyny, and this new word I just learned, trans-misogyny, something like that. So that's what they're hitting Party Socialism and Liberation, and they also hitting them with that they're not holding up the ideals of democratic centralism. They're not holding that up. When it comes to, you know, hearing criticism, doing self-criticism, and, you know, having analysis, doing what's best for the peeps. None of that. You know, just a whole bunch of the regular... You can read it. I posted it on my page, and I was saying, when I read that shit, I'm like, man, this is like some old regular shit, like, this is just some regular white boy shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't mean to say it like that, but I just was like, oh, you know, that's like, you know, when people like, oh, this is the complaints, but there's a company or whatever the case may be, and, you know, when you're dealing with the Euro-Americans, and they come around, like, with the, you know, manipulation, and, you know, make it look like you the bad person, and all this shit, We have like the gift of gab, you know what I'm saying? All right, so it says, we encourage our readers also to give full support and solidarity to the comrades of the revolutionary intercommunal Black Panther Party as they built their party without the interference of this reactionary clique. So basically, I mean, that's what it's saying, You have revolutionary, then you have reactionary. Nobody on this party, we'll be doing our best, to stay on the revolutionary road and not regress. Myths are not built out of the concrete contradictions existing in given conditions and therefore are not a scientific reflection of reality. This is to say, in myths or nursery tales, the aspects constituting a contradiction have only an imaginary identity, not a concrete identity. The scientific reflection of the identity in real transformation is Marxist dialectics, Marx's dung on contradictions, fitting that the response of the two individuals who continue to call themselves the New African Black Panther Party to the revolutionary intercommunal Black Panther Party split from them is based on a book of nonsense fiction. So based on a book of nonsense fiction, that's now you have New African Black Panther Party, and you also have Revolutionary Intercommunal Black Panther Party. So you have two parties. And I guess it's the people to decide who's reactionary, who's revolutionary, right? Alright, split from them is based on a book of nonsense fiction. This because they are swimming in fantasy, just like their response, which is why instead of waiting to the false reality of their front of house mirror, I'm going to take a scientific hammer to it. That's part of the Nobel Unionist Party sign, and that's part of the Communist Party sign, because for Nobel Unionist Party is the sickle. No. Nobel Unionist Party don't have the hammer. We have the sickle and the machete. The Communist Party has the sickle and the hammer. All right, so let me light this up. All right. It says, bing, bing, bing. What you calling something? This is because, say to it. Who's behind the looking glass? The initial focus of that article is on me. Okay, so that means, all right, so this is a response to a different article. I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough time to read that article. All right. So let me see. Behind the looking glass, the initial focus of that article is on me and Shaka Zulu, a.k.a. Zulu Sharad, and the question of whether the display is about a power struggle between us. This is deliberately evades what should be the first question, which is who is creating the narrative in that article. Who is the wannabe Lewis Carroll of this work of fiction? Obviously, Shaka didn't write it. Shaka doesn't write. He can't write, actually. Not political theory, as our documents announcing the split pointed out. There is no one but Shaka and Tom Watts and what's left of the New African Black Panther Party. Anyone wanted to confirm who actually wrote the article can look at the Facebook page of Jing Ila, a.k.a. Tom Watts, to compare the writing styles. Tom brutally ghostwrites for Shaka. And I'm good. You gotta do your own work, man. Tom brutally ghostwrites for Shaka. So why is there an obvious omission of Tom and how he factors into all this? Why indeed? Because they want to hide the truth that Tom, this dude named Tom, is a Euro-American, a white man. You know what I'm saying? Caucasian. With a long history of appropriating and trying to take control of the cultures, histories, and organizations of people of color. All right, man. Who is the real one in power in the New African Black Panther Party? I mean, you can't be doing that. Nah. Come on. Malcolm X broke that shit down a long time ago. Like, nah. We can stand in solidarity. We can be together, but as he says, be careful where you get your money from, who's financing it, and as far as the committee, who's running it, because you want to make sure that it stays true to the core of the people. You know what I mean? That's why we say we stand in solidarity, but we don't want you leading. All right. So this is bing, 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 bang. Time is controlling the narrative. All right, let me see. All right, it says, look how Tom uses him in this article. This is white supremacy. So basically, he's exposing white supremacy right here with this guy named Tom. All right, uses him in this article. This is white supremacy, right large. One of the things I was struggling against leading up to split. Remember, our struggle is not just against capitalism, but also racism. And just like he's doing his response since Shaka got out of prison in January 2019, Tom has tried to put us against each other. Ooh, wait, look at the bullshit, boy. That's the wickedness of the white man, yo. Know what I'm saying? Get a white. This is what I understand. You white, right? If you white, why you stand in solidarity with the Black Panther Party, but why join the Black Panther Party and then try to go into the higher committees to run it? Get the fuck out of here. Nah. Now I said we stand in solidarity, but you're not gonna join and then run the party. Get the fuck out of here. How is it? You're against anti-imperialism. You're against white supremacy. And I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm like, hey, I don't know if you down, and then you want to switch it around or whatever. But look what he's doing already. He's putting two peoples against each other. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. All right. This is all right. Bam. I am a writer, and in fact, wrote most of the party's line and politics in my book. So for those that want to see the Minister of Defense information, his book, like what he's about, you could go to rashidmod.com, RASHIMOD.com, and there's a book called Panther Vision, and that's telling you the vision of where this 21st century, 2021, revolutionary, intercommunal Black Panther Party movement is going. Because that's where he represents. By keeping Shaka distrustful of me, Tom causes Shaka to look to him and not me for political guidance. This is how Tom devised to stay in control of the new African Black Panther Party, even with Shaka on the street. So I believe the new African Black Panther Party was just like the Noble Young's Party, was born inside the penitentiary. All right. So this is how Tom devised to stay in control of the new African Black Panther Party, even with Shaka on the street. Typical divide and rule plantation politics. As a revolutionary psychiatrist, Frantz Fanon stated, the oppressor who never loses the chance of setting the niggers against each other will be extremely skillful at using the ignorance and incomprehension, which is the weakness of the lumpen proletariat. Listen, because they're going to try to do this shit with the Noble Young Lords and the original Young Lords and the new era Young Lords. They're going to try the bullshit, trust me. And the PCN that we have, boom, it addresses that. The Census Committee seen this shit way ahead of time. They're like, listen, this was going to happen. You're going to have these fake-ass liberals going to be like, oh, no, this, that, and that, this, that, and that. We don't want this, we don't want that. Those are the liberal anti-imperialists, And in essence, Noble Young Party are not liberal anti-imperialists. Noble Young Party is militant anti-imperialists. And we operate within the confines of the law of here in the United States. And Puerto Rico. All right? As far as anywhere outside of the United States and outside of Puerto Rico, yes. Myris International Movement, Myris International Ministry, United Front for Peace and Prisons, United Struggle Within, and Noble Young Party, yes, stand in solidarity with the proletariat, the people's struggle to fight for liberation, to fight for self-determination, to fight for sovereignty, and to fight off oppression. the liberation movement, hence. All right, so the Dr. Spin, let me see something. Tom is a master of spinning narratives and inventing history, manipulating people, and just plain out lying, which has response article demonstrates starting with his deception by omission of hiding his vote and all is like most things. He writes Tom's Looking Glass article is full of theory that is not based on and has not produced any material practice that has benefited the people. So how could it possibly provide guidance for the way forward? He's right that Mao said we should practice Marxism, not revisionism. We shouldn't be revising. But we do have to be progressive. All right? Don't have to be revisionist, but progressive and learn the difference between a tactic and principle. All right? Noble Yonglow's Party stands on principles. Noble Yonglow's Party is guided by principles like Marx, Lenin, Maoism. We're guided by principles. And then things that we do to bring about justice. To bring about justice is called tactic and strategy. All right? So, that ideological and political line determines everything. That with correct line, everything will come to a party. Followers, guns, political power. But if its line isn't correct, it may lose even what it has. It's because the revolutionary intercommunal Black Panther Party has applied these precepts that we are already gaining what we didn't have in the New African Black Panther Party. While the New African Black Panther Party has lost everything and everyone, and after over 15 years, gained nothing but a social media celebrity cult around Shaka, what Tom fails to mention is Mayo also pointed out that having a correct line without applying it organizationally amounts to nothing. You have to apply the knowledge. You have to apply the principles. A political party, he said, must depend on the correctness of its own political line and the solidity of its own organization. So theory without practice, you must put the shit to practice. You can have a beautiful book of guidelines and principles, but you got to put it to practice. All right, let's see. Theory without practice is empty. What happened between the Revolutionary Intercommunal Black Panther Party and the New African Black Panther Party wasn't really a split. It was a purge. Tom and Shaka separated themselves from the entire outside membership to avoid criticism and challenge to their power from below, and everyone simply left them behind. They are the only remaining members of the New African Black Panther Party. Everyone join us is reconstituting as the RIBPP, Revolutionary Intercommunal Black Panther Party. Lenin said, a party that purges itself makes itself stronger. It's almost dishonest to speak of the New African Black Panther Party as a party and it's having a governing Politburo. It's only 2 individuals. Wow. So Tom admits in his article that a party cannot be composed of individuals. Contrary to Tom's typical fabrications, Shaka has not developed any footholds or bases in any black community in Newark, New Jersey. Most of the people he's found to work with him on the ground were college students, not people in the oppressed communities. And few of them stick around for very long due to fallouts with him or becoming disillusioned with the leadership. One of the only working class people from the black community that worked with him is now the Revolutionary Intercommunal Black Panther Party's chairperson. And she attests that there is not and has never been any grassroots involvement or support for Shaka or his work. The proclaimed Serve the People program he's led has been weekly food distribution. There's nothing wrong with that. That operates much like any other charity. All right. You know, that's what, well, right now, during the COVID-19, the pandemic, Basically, everybody's doing that. You know, if you got the means, if you got the people, you know, you give back to the people, you know, food distribution. So there's nothing wrong with that. She shouldn't even mention that. Because she says, you know, the Proclaim Serve the People program he's led has been weekly food distribution. That counts. You know what I'm saying? That operates much like any other charity, where he has others do all the work of bagging and distributing donated food while he keeps attention focused on himself, live streaming the event as he yells to passerby on a megaphone, which he invariably posts on his personal, not the New African Black Panthers Party's social media page. The only people he's been serving in his regard has been himself. That's a cult personality. I mean, listen, I know that's what they say. Like, even for me, like, you know, to one extent, you have to show the people what you're doing. That's fact, because that's just how people are. Like, oh, I ain't see it. I want to see. I hear about it. I don't see shit. So you gotta show it, but don't do it all the time, because then it's gonna be like, damn, you're looking for the spotlight. Feel me? You just do it every now and then, and instead of having a video on you, you just put the video on the people of what they doing, and you can speak. They don't gotta see you while you're speaking. You know, so there's different ways. You know, and not only that, you know, have a page. See, the Nobody on Those Party. No, we have the page. We have the, you know, we have the group, but it's growing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, people that's on my page, what I'm doing, I know what the hell I'm doing. I'm basically getting people that's on my page, right, into the Nobody on Those Party. And this is all political education first online. Think tank. Developing the think tank, and then come forward. Feel me? Not gonna do this shit premature. Fractionalizing, as I said, the revolutionary of the mind is a must. Reading the books, going over certain materials is a must. Fractionalizing with Willie Chino, the claim that Willie Chino and I were plotting a coup to expel Shaka and take over the new African Black Panther Party. If that isn't a storybook plot, I don't know what is. It's only the latest of several different conspiracy theories invented by Tom that Will and I were fractionalizing, which began when I criticized Tom for attempting to actually fractionalize with me by snitch jacketing Will, a Brown comrade, in a private conversation with me. Tom told me he had a hunch that Will was a PIC agent and I should trust his intuition on this. Oh, they already starting the COINTELPRO tactics. Always proves correct. I knew this was false because he previously said the same thing about others and his hunches. That's one of the COINTELPRO tactics, you know. They went into many different organizations and they started spreading gossips. Like, yo, this one's silent, this one's silent, this one's told this. And it started causing a whole confusion, building the lack of trust, which basically, you know, made people leave the party. They still was like, oh, it's in my heart, but they didn't want to be around people because they wasn't too sure who was who. Feel me? Yeah, that's a number one tactic from the government, from counterintelligence program. You understand, the counterintelligence program is meant to it says it so. It says the counterintelligence program was meant to present the rise of the Black Messiah, which means the black person that's gonna, boom, lead to the promised land, so to speak, you know, like, take it to the next line, take it past the threshold, is to prevent that, you know. And then they also say to go into these organizations, to black organizations, to brown organizations, and to Boricua organizations, and to dismantle them, by causing discord, by spreading lies, and causing distrust, and then, of course, fractionalization. And then, you know, setting them up, you know, because like they say, if the party's about something, then you have someone doing something totally different, it's not about the party, yo, that's an agent provocateur, yo. All right. In a private conversation with an agent provocateur, these are people that get paid, you know what I mean, to throw the party, to throw the organization off course. You know what I mean? So you have, see, there's snitches and then there's agent provocateurs. You know what I mean? Snitches, those are the informers, those are the ones that's giving the information. Agent provocateurs, those are the ones that's like leading people to the shit, like, bam. All right, yo, let's go over here. We're going to pop up over here. Yo, let's go over here. Boom, boom, let's do this. Let's do that. Yo, but we don't stand for that. We not about that. Now, fuck that. All right, yo, I got to take care of it. Yo, but we not about this shit. Yo. Yeah, I see what I'm talking about. All right. Asian provocateurs. You got to be careful with them, too. That's what it says. You got to look at people's actions. Like, yo, listen, man, what's good? Like, you know what I mean? In a private conversation with me, Tom told me he had a hunch that Will was a pig. All right, I already read that. Let me see. It says, I immediately criticized him because Will had always been principled in his party work. You know what I mean? As far as I saw it, I recognized Tom's action as a continuation of a destruction trend started within the new African Black Panther Party by his past Minister of Culture, Kwame Shakur, of snitch jacketing comrades without evidence. You know what I mean? You cannot do that shit. Snitch jacketing people without evidence. With me, nobody on those party. If you don't see black and white, get that shit out of here. Yeah, I either gotta see the shit black and white, or I gotta see a video. Feel me? So snitch jacketing comrades without evidence. That shit don't play here. That shit don't work here. Let's see. Which is counterintelligence tactic used by the pigs to destroy independent political organizations and leaders. See what I just said? That's what's called. We gotta learn from others. I mean, learn from history. See, that's what I said. You know, I mean, it's not just all about getting lit. You know what I mean? You know, it's not wrong with having fun. You know what I mean, treating yourself here and there. You know what I mean? But you always gotta elevate the mind, and don't forget, serve the people. You know what I'm saying? What you represent. You know what you joined up for. You know what I mean? Educating the people, relieving the misery around us. Doing political protests, advocating for social justice. You know, that's why I be laughing sometimes. Like, damn, people are scared to do that because they're scared the government gonna be watching. But damn, but when it comes to the other self-destructive shit, Rico could come for that. So the government gonna come regardless for anything. That's the government. Big Brother's watching through all these fucking technology shit like that. That's why I be like, listen, no crimes over here because we ain't trying to get no Rico shit up in hand. Because you see, they've been using, ever since, you know what I mean, ever since the fucking feds got away with doing that unjust sentence that they gave to Louis Felipe, a.k.a. King Blood, that gave him life plus 40 years in solitary confinement, not being able to communicate with nobody in the world, not even be able to write to his fucking people in the family, can't even write to newspapers, can't even write to lawyers, like cut off all communications. That's cruel and unusual fucking punishment. I'm surprised that shit still is upholding. You know what I'm saying? By that stupid ass fucking DA Janet Reed and all that shit. But anyway, you know, a lot of OGs in the inside, you know what I'm saying, like, listen, yo. And a lot of the wise minds, like, oh, you know what? We see what's good. You know what I mean? Every street organization, man, have a set of rules, man, and guidelines. And supposed to be a server of the people. Not be the horror of the people. Supposed to educate the people. Not tell them not to be educated. Supposed to encourage them to finish school, encourage them, you know what I mean, to go to college, encourage them to do these things, not take them out of there. You know what I mean? If you know someone that quit school, okay, cool, but encourage them to get a GED. Encourage them to go back to school, to go to Bronx, to go to a community college to get a degree and a GED at the same time. It's called self-empowerment, empowering the people. You can't just be getting lit and then not empowering no one. What good is that? How you being the light? Must be the light to lead people out of darkness. And that by doing that is by actions, putting things into practice, and the rest will follow. You know what I mean? You're going to have ridicule. You're going to have people that laugh, people that are going to be against it. That's just how it is. The government, listen, I done did the wake-up call. I told you the wake-up call. And they told you that, listen, this shit's bigger than you and me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just throughout the country. Like, this is the government we're talking about. You know what I mean? All right. I mean, they got the money. They got all type of shit. Mind you, who brought in the fucking drugs into the community before the 60s, before the revolutionary movement, before the civil rights and all that? before the civil rights, before the revolution, there wasn't really drugs like that in the inner city neighborhoods. Nah, but the CIA and its documented proof, now I'm saying, the help of the FBI, documented proof, went into these inner cities and got the weakest links and was like, you know what, sell this. And then, of course, they was able to manipulate and use deceptive intelligence. Like, listen, we can't work. They ain't gonna try to give us the job. And then once you already got a record, boom, we can't work here, we can't do this. This is the only means of getting money. And then, we getting our own people sick, stuck on drugs. Then even the revolutionaries are getting stuck on drugs. And then, when they come back out or when they go to jail, listen, we can't even have these people in the party or the organization because they hooked on drugs. But we got them like that in the first place. As a whole, generally speaking, you know what I mean? It's kind of crazy, right? I don't mean to get too preachy, but it's 7:44. And, listen. I done said it. I done shared this information on my Facebook page so y'all can read it. Because it's very, very, very extensive. They could write. And it's 2 pieces. So, mind you. All right, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about before I end this. All right. So, this is the name of the article, all right? It's called Shattering the Looking Glass and Exposing the Settler Hiding Behind it. A response on behalf of the Central Committee of the Revolutionary Intercommunal Black Panther Party to Through the Looking Glass. So that's that article, right? So the other article that you could check out, right? Let me see, go to the bottom. All right, let's get this party. So this is the other article that they're talking about, right? So this was a response to this article. All right, now this one is called Let's Get This Party Started on the Split in the New African Black Panther Party and Founding of the Revolutionary Intercommunal Black Panther Party. All right. You can find this on the People Voice News. PVN. People Voice News. All right. The other information I get my stuff from is from, and I'm not going to read it right now, but I'm going to show you right here. Under Lock and Key. See this? All these newspapers, and each one has a lot. So there's a lot of information that I'm sharing. A lot of information. You know what I mean? Under Lock and Key. Under Lock and Key is the other information. So my 2 news outlets that I use and I read from, right, when it's coming from the prisoners and the comrades, it's Under Lock and Key. These are the comrades from the inside of prison doing their thing. Now, when it comes to the comrades in society that's doing their thing, is the People's Voice News. So the People's Voice News is a news outlet that covers the revolutionary movement, the liberation movement out here in society. And the Under Lock Key is what covers the revolutionary movement and the prison organizing inside the penitentiary. Those are the 2 news outlets that I use. Those are the 2 news outlets that I use, that I read from. I don't get it from, nowhere else. Unless it's the Final Call or if it's the Amsterdam News. The Final Call, Amsterdam News is the other 2 newspapers that I read. But those aren't revolutionary newspapers, you know what I'm saying? So the Under Lock Key, the People's Voice News, those 2, yes, that's about socialism, that's about revolution, that's about liberation. Those 2 good newspapers right there. Just like when it comes to a news outlet, Democracy Now! You know that. All right, so everyone have a blessed and productive day. It's 7:48, and I gotta work from home. All right. One Lord, one people, stay noble. This is Malik Alim, the chairman of the Noble Young Lords Party. All right? It's all about nobility, baby. Stay noble, stay humble, and be grateful. Proud to the people. Like that ring? See that? Hold on. This is part of it. I don't know if you can see it. It's not a 5-point crown. is a 3-point coronet. That's part of the coat of arms of the Noble Yolo's party. The 3-point coronet, the sickle and the machete, because we stand for socialism and communism, and we stand in solidarity with all people who are socialists and communists and fight against imperialists. And the roaring lion, that represents, the roaring lion, that's the African spirit right there. And yeah, that's it, if I'm not mistaken. And then you have the star, and then the star is the revolution, and also represents the principles of the party. So you have 2 stars within the coronet. You want to know more about that, just go to my YouTube page. I already did a video piece on that, and it's break down the coat of arms for the Noble Yolo's party, okay? Have a blessed and productive day. Peace!